Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder, your favorite true crime momcast. I am Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime, from missing moms to murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and much, much more.
Yes, we do. This is your momcast. Momcast coming at you. And today, Heather has already gave me a little bit of a spoiler that we are going to kind of kick it back a little bit to...
Kick it back to
the old school days. And one of the things that we used to do was we would talk about what we were drinking. And I know, Heather, you came here with something in that cup, so I want to hear all about it.
So it's so funny because we used to do this all the time, but I have in front of me a Mother, Like Murder mug, which you can get if you so please. And on the backside it says, "Okay, love you, bye."
Yeah, that's
and
the special
for
edition
those of you
mug.
who have listened to all 300 or something of our episodes, you know that I got an espresso machine very much near almost the beginning of our Like Mother, Like Murder journey, back wine time journey. And in this cup is a latte. And I'm feeling it, and it's really bringing me back because not only am I drinking a latte, y'all, but I also have a case today that is a very Heather old school, this is a Heather case. This is something Heather would go into a deep dive about and decide to just tell Rachel something
I'm
all
ready
about.
For it. Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't have a Like Mother, Like Murder mug because... do I even support us? Why do I not have a Like Mother, Like Murder mug? But I do. You know who I do support? Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are. I do have that mug. And because you had your coffee, I ran off camera very quickly. I do not do lattes. This is actually iced coffee in this cup because everyone knows I only drink iced coffees. And it has a splash of oat milk. So that's about as groovy as I get.
Mine is an oat milk latte.
Yeah.
So my newest thing, because Starbucks was doing their oat milk horchata latte things.
Okay.
I was all about it.
Nice.
So what I decided was I'm not going to be spending $5 on that every day.
No.
So I went to Trader Joe's. I'm sorry, I was about to say Trader's Joe. And if you have any Filipinos in your life, you'll know why. But can't get my mom out of
podcast.
You'll
know why.
My mom in my head going, yeah, let's go to Trader's Joe. Okay. So I'll tell you my recipe really quickly. You get they have a cinnamon bun oat creamer, and then
Nice.
you get just oat milk. All you need is just like a literal splash of that cinnamon bun oat milk creamer, and then oat milk, and I swear it's the horchata. I mean, it's better than the horchata
That's
latte.
awesome. Good to know.
It's so good because it has the cinnamon. It has like cinnamon bun, so it's got like that vanilla-ish flavor.
Love it.
Mwah.
Chef's kiss.
That is it.
Barista's kiss.
I do just have to say, because this happened yesterday, that we have followed the Crystal Rogers case. We have brought you all of those updates. And yesterday was sentencing, and, they got life in prison. So I am ecstatic about that. The family members got to read their statements to him, and they were very powerful, very emotional. But I'm glad that they were given that opportunity and able to, sit down. I listened to them all. That family is absolutely incredible. And now, things that were brought up as well is the fact that Tommy Ballard, everyone thinks that there is this connection. It's alleged right now.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
So we're going to be following, even though so many things have happened and there has been so many closures in one way or another, there's still so much that needs to happen. We still don't know where Crystal Rogers is, but finally the people that were responsible are held accountable, at least most of them. And now we wait to see what else happens. So that was huge for me yesterday. Wanted to share that.
Yes.
So
glad you did.
About damn time.
That's exactly what I was getting. About damn time. So glad, like you said, that there is at least a piece of, and it's so hard because I know a lot of families feel like it's never going to be closure.
Right.
Because, and especially in a case like Crystal Rogers, I mean, we saw it in the Jennifer Dulos case as well. We don't have Crystal. It's so hard to really you can't get closure, but when you don't know where she is too, that's just so hard. Not having those answers, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
At least one step in the right direction though, right?
Yes.
And a little bit of justice finally served where it needed to be. So
yeah, for real. I just wanted to add that before we got into today.
I'm so glad you did.
So big. I know it's something we've talked about all the time.
All the time.
But I
think
here.
Besides Adelson, only because we did so many updates on them
right.
last month, Crystal Rogers has also been our biggest updates, constantly making sure we're covering that case. Yeah.
We've been able to do some, and we used to do the episodes where we would bring the updates, and it's not something that I don't want to stop doing those. Those are important, and we absolutely want to bring those. But you're right, like certain cases that we have followed, there has been so much. Jennifer Dulos, Crystal Rogers, Dan Markel's case, also Suzanne Morphew. There were some that we just followed that had breaks in the case. So once that happens, we will absolutely be bringing those updates for sure.
We are trying to keep up to date. But if there's a case that you guys see that, something we covered and you're like, ooh, they should cover, please let us know. We would love to. Or if there are theories that you feel when we covered a case that maybe is unsolved that we didn't dive into, or you want us to dive into, let us know. We love listener suggestions. We've covered cases based on listener suggestions before, and we love that kind of interaction. So definitely definitely hit us up.
Yeah, I am ready for today though. So let's get into it.
Let me set the scene a little bit just to give you an idea, because I know like I titled this Marm, okay, and I know that doesn't really give a lot of hints, but I know you know who this is. Gemma Teller, Sons of Anarchy. Okay,
I do.
Matriarch, crime matriarch. Did you ever watch Weeds?
Yes.
Okay, so Nancy Botwin, Weeds.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
So Polly, the aunt, right? She was his aunt.
Yes.
Peaky Blinders. And then there's that new show. I haven't actually watched it, but I want to because it's got Retta, and I'm a big fan of hers. But her name is I think Beth from Good Girls.
No
okay,
idea.
That's okay. It's a newer show. We don't watch new shows.
I'm surprised I said yes to everything you just said, to be honest.
I know. Well, because those are all shows 15 years ago when we actually watched shows. Now you have an idea of kind of where I'm going with Marm. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start with a quote from the subject of today's episode. This is from Marm. I am Ma because I give them what a mother cannot sometimes give. Money and horses and diamonds.
Wow. Money and horses and diamonds.
That's right.
Who are you?
Who are you, Marm? So how did a modest immigrant from Germany become one of the most notorious crime bosses in New York?
Okay.
Being dubbed Old Mother Mandelbaum, eventually having to flee to Canada, but not before backing two of the most successful bank robberies in history.
Wow. Damn.
Right? You've probably never heard of her, but we're going to fix that today. This is the true life story of crime boss Fredericka Marm Mandelbaum, a.k.a. Mother Mandelbaum. When I first wrote that, I was going flashbacks to like old MTV, like True Life Story.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
I can tell. Yes. Yeah. I can totally see that. But also, that's quite the name right there.
I know. Fredericka Mandelbaum.
Yeah. I don't know why that just instantly makes me think like she's gotta be a matriarch type right there.
Oh, 100%. Like that's
my name, not so
right
much.
There.
Her name, yeah.
Right. It screams that, right? Like it's just like automatically like she was born to be this person, 100%. And the more I tell you about her, her name fits. Like she definitely was born to be this person. Okay. So born Frederik. So she's German, which is why like she was born Frederik, but people say Fredericka.
Okay.
So born Friederike Weisner, a.k.a. Fredericka, on March 25th, 1825 in Kassel, Germany, to a Jewish family. She ended up marrying Wolf Mandelbaum around 1848. And then a few years later, they immigrated to New York City. There was a mass immigration to New York City. They ended up settling in a place in New York City named Little Germany. And she was still in her early 20s at the time, so very young. And in those early years in New York City, her and her husband, Wolf, were pretty much peddlers. So they were literally hawking everything from broken watches, scraps of like silk, cloth, whatever they could find. Literally carrying this stuff on their backs, setting it up in the streets like vendors, and using any tricks that they could to just get people to come over to their makeshift shop.
Yeah, little hustlers.
Buy what they were selling. Exactly. And they were doing everything they could to make ends meet for at this point, they ended up having 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. And times were tough and only getting tougher. But Fredericka, she was not going to settle. not long after they arrived in America, financial crisis hit the U.S. So it was called the Panic of 1857. Businesses were failing left and right. Unemployment was high. And many already downtrodden, down on their luck, poor, resorted to pickpocketing and looting to get by. And this included children, teenagers, and adults alike. Fredericka saw opportunity. And what she did was she began teaching others, and a lot of times this was young children and teenagers, how to pickpocket and shoplift. And then she would fence the product, meaning she would take what they stole and then she would sell the stolen good for profit.
This makes me think of the woman that we covered a while back who was having the people steal from like the shops and she was reselling it out of her garage.
Yes.
I forgot her name, but yeah, that's crazy.
And as you hear more about this,
exact same. This was her idol. This is who she looked up to.
She read about Fredericka and was like, I can do this. 100%.
That's so insane.
Because one thing that made Fredericka really good about this is she was an immigrant, but and they were in Little Germany. She spoke German, right? But she was also really good at English. So she was really good at forming those relationships with the other immigrants. So teaching them, this is how you pickpocket, this is how you shoplift, this is how you loot. But then she was also really good with her English and being able to sell these stolen goods at a profit to Americans.
Wow.
Okay? So she continued to cultivate the relationship she had, and she was offering this motherly advice and this support to a lot of these folks, and she never forgot where she came from. So eventually, Fredericka would graduate from selling these goods on the street, and she actually opened a shop in 1865. She was able to rent a space down on the Lower East Side, and her husband opened this dry goods and haberdashery store where they were it was a front for selling all these stolen products.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
But now they're doing it out of a store. So it's a more reputable establishment.
Yeah, storefront makes you think like absolutely everything's fine and dandy. Exactly. And it's not.
Just like this lady was like, I'm not selling these out of my trunk. I'm selling these on Amazon.
Yeah.
Reputable. Okay.
Crazy.
So within a few short years, by 1873, not only did she own the shop now, she no longer had to rent, she owned the shop on the first floor, but then her family also occupied the apartments that were above, and now they had extra warehouse room for the not so legally obtained goods. So it's so funny you said that, because remember how that lady had like the garage chock full of all the stuff?
Oh, yeah.
So did Fredericka. Fredericka had a bunch of warehouse room for all of her stolen products.
Yeah, it becomes a system. There's a method to the madness.
Exactly. So her business continued to grow. Eventually, her husband did die in 1875. And at this point, Marm Mandelbaum, she had 4 kids ranging from 8 to 15 years old. But she expanded her circle. She was like, I don't need my husband. This was all me, baby. And she just continued to network. She networked at her synagogue and neighborhood beer and oyster halls alike. She made herself known in criminal circles and in high society, making all the right connections. Crooked cops, judges, even politicians. She knew what she was doing. And she wasn't known as Mother Mandelbaum for nothing. Okay? She used that maternal instinct, and she wanted to make way for the next generation. So she allegedly opened a school for children, supposedly, allegedly, right down the street from the local, police department, where children could learn to be successful in the business. We're talking they could learn to pickpocket, shoplift, burglary, and they could graduate all the way up to full-blown cons.
It's insane. Here, let me take you guys under my wing.
My criminal wing.
Yes, exactly. And bring you up in this...
In the ways...
under my criminal wing into my criminal ring.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Yes. So not only did she provide this education for future criminals, but she also had a special fund that was specifically meant to provide bail money and legal fees for a chosen few who she favored. This specifically included some very famous female criminals, like Sophie Lyons, who was a very notorious female thief and con woman from also the same period, the late 1880s. And if they ever got into, if they ever got caught or they ever needed, bail money or they needed a lawyer, she was like, okay, you're on my special list. I'm going to front you cash for whatever you need. So she had a special fund just for this. And Fredericka's own children also played a role in her criminal enterprise, okay? Her son, Julius, played a very large part in her business. And it's also said that one of her daughters was actually married to either a detective or a politician, and was potentially providing her mom with some insider information. So one report that I read also said that her children, and from what I'm understanding, it was most likely Julius, would come with her when she would go to evaluate stolen goods to determine, okay, this is good enough, and I'll go ahead and
what's worth it and what's not.
Exactly. That they would come with her and they would be the lookout for detectives who would want to catch the infamous Mother Mandelbaum and what she was doing. But Fredericka was smart and she was careful, and she knew how to be criminally successful, but to remain out of reach from the law.
Well, especially if she has a whole system and people who are within and able to, look out or know what's going on and update. So it's a whole family scheme at this point.
It is a family scheme. And the biggest thing, one thing I read throughout all of this was that she was incredibly, loyal to the people she worked with, in that she never forgot where she came from. So, she opened that shop on the Lower East Side, and after a few years, she was making enough money. She easily could have moved and lived in, the ritzy part of New York, but she didn't. She stayed where she was. She never forgot where she came from, and she never forgot who she worked with, and she brought the same people up with her. Right? She had this right-hand man who she worked with for decades. She brought her children along with her. The same people she surrounded herself with. Right?
So she's a moral criminal.
Correct.
You don't see those coincide very often.
Well, what do they say? There's honor amongst thieves or something like that,
man.
Right? So her enterprise continued to grow. But like I said, she was smart. She was never once the one actually cracking a safe or running from the robbery herself, but she did finance a lot of criminal endeavors, and she would take her cut. She was behind some of the largest heists in history. So one was the 1869 Ocean National Bank robbery. So enter George Leslie. He was an architect who decided that bank robbing was a more lucrative career.
Okay.
I mean, he's probably not wrong if you're good
Yeah,
at
but
it.
we don't support doing the wrong thing around here. Like, yeah, you can make money by stealing from by robbing a bank. Okay. It's not the right thing.
It's not the right thing. So he actually moved to the East Coast, and he was an architect. So he did not have an in to the criminal world. So he was actually seeking out someone like Mandelbaum to figure out how he could do this. And so he had a meeting with Mandelbaum, and he intrigued her with his less violent way of breaking into a bank. He wasn't there to just like blow up a safe with dynamite. No, he was an architect. He had this very intricate way, basically, of picking the lock. I won't go into all the details, but he had this very intricate way of stealing the cash, and Mother Mandelbaum took to the young man and decided, okay, I'm going to fund you. I'm going to make this happen for you, and I'm going to staff your plan. So like I said, I'm not going to go into all the details, but in the show notes, there's this really good article about George Leslie and his bank heists and his whole career as a architect turned bank robber.
Okay.
But this successful robbery of the Ocean National Bank ended up being the largest bank robbery in the then history of New York City, with the thieves getting almost $1 million. And this is back in 1869. So they got away with $768,879.94 worth of stolen cash, jewelry, and securities. So when you adjust
say that number, yeah, and then you're going to say exactly what I want to hear, but say that number one more time.
$768,000.
$768,000.
Mm-hmm. So when you adjust that to today's money, $18 million.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And because Mother Mandelbaum knew how to fence stuff, so that wasn't just cash, that was also jewelry and securities and this kind of stuff. She knew how to fence things, so it's believed that she also had the means to launder all those non-cash items. Her cut, $800,000, which would have been $23 million in today's money.
Wait, how was I missed something? How was her cut
hold
more
on.
than
back
what?
Up. Yeah. Hold on, back up.
Okay. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Her cut was more? No. That's even more badass.
I know.
That's crazy. She's not a badass, by the way. I want to point that out.
She is a badass. I think I mixed those up.
Okay.
I don't know what her cut was, but
didn't you say that he only made like $786,000? So how would he get more than what he made?
I don't know, Rachel.
That's crazy. That's okay. You don't need to know, because I think there's a lot that we don't know about this lady that probably happened. Oh, she was charging interest for sure. She said, yeah, you're going to make some money. Not? That's nuts.
It was funny because I told Zach about this lady because he's super into like all these random historical things. Then I was like, had you ever heard of her before? And he's like, no. So of course I read him my entire script. And so of course he starts looking into Mandelbaum. And then I said, you need to read about George Leslie too, and this whole bank robbery. And so he's reading about it. So basically George Leslie was like, I need a funder, I need a backer. And he knew that Mandelbaum was a great way to get in. She had a lot of contacts. She was like, okay, I'll fund you, but this is going to be like a tryout. You're a brand new guy. Before this happens, she basically said, I need to get revenge on this woman because she joined a rival crime family. And it turns out that George Leslie was actually having an affair with her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So turns out George Leslie is a bit of a hoe because I'll tell you during the next one. He's a hoe. So basically, Fredericka got someone to steal a ring from somebody and then gave it to George Leslie's girlfriend, affair lady, who Mandelbaum doesn't like, for joining the rival gang. And then this woman wears it, actually thinking it's from George, and she wears it to this fancy dinner party. Turns out who it was stolen from was actually the wife of a district court judge, and she is at the dinner party.
Oh my God.
The woman who it got stolen from was like, bitch, that's my ring. She calls up her husband and she goes, this lady stole my ring. And so the court judge sends in the Pinkertons, which is like, private detectives back then.
Yeah.
And the Pinkerton agents raid this woman's home and find all this stolen stuff. And then that lady goes to jail. And then Mandelbaum's like, okay,
you're allowed in.
Now you're allowed to continue working on this bank robbery. And you've proven that A, you're loyal to me, and B, you won't be so distracted.
Yeah. That's crazy. You know what's crazy too is like, I'm positive. I mean, there's so much back then and today that happens like this, right? But we're just so normal, we don't see it. Like, this is absolutely something that is probably happening right now in another
all the time.
Yeah, constantly.
The drama, and that's what's so crazy, is like this story, that exact thing that I explained is happening, I'm sure, all the time. And we just live such normal lives.
Yeah.
So we have no idea. Reading about this stuff, about this woman who's just like this crime boss on this is happening all the time. We covered a case of a woman who was basically doing this exact thing, right? I mean, it's insane.
It is. That is crazy. Okay, tell me more.
Okay, so like I said, that heist was basically like a tryout for George. He was not in any way like a known criminal. And so Mandelbaum's like, I'm going to take a chance on you, believe in your idea, but we got to try you out. So he pulled it off, and this basically skyrocketed his reputation. And with a backer like Fredericka Mendelbaum, he was in it. And so he got a crew. He became a criminal in good standing, so to speak. And him and his crew started bank robbing up and down the East Coast, had very successful careers. And then in 1878, they had been planning this bank robbery for like 3 years. His crew went on to rob the Manhattan Savings Institution. Now, I say his crew.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. But again, this was financed by Fredericka, and she also later helped launder the securities. And the Manhattan Savings Institution robbery ended up netting $2.7 million, which is over $80 million in today's money. And that is the largest heist in history. Till today, that is still the largest heist in history. And our Fredericka, Marm Mandelbaum, was the backer. Now, like I said, his crew was the one who did it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, George Leslie never saw his payday because he was found murdered.
Dang.
Now, it is unsolved, but there are a couple theories.
I've already got a couple theories. Tell me.
So, one theory is there's this one guy that was on his crew that basically didn't like him. Because George used to take the pretty significant cut. I think George used to take like 50% because he was the one that basically invented. You'll have to read the whole little article, but he invented a little thing that could pick the lock of a safe without having to explode it. Okay. So he used to take a bigger cut, which his partner didn't think was fair. B, George was also having an affair with multiple of his crew's partners' wives.
Okay. How?
C, there are rumors that he was actually going to jump ship from Fredericka Mandelbaum's backing and start kind of working with another criminal enterprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't do that, Georgie Wargie. Who gave you your
No.
start in the criminal world? Okay?
I love how you're trying to be like, hey, don't do that. Don't go from one wrong to a different wrong. You know, like you're already this deep inside of like the craziest, you know, scheme and person who does this and criminal matriarch's plan. Why would you leave to someone else?
Yeah. So it's currently unsolved, but there is a lot of theories as to why this man did not ever see his payday from the largest heist in history.
That's crazy.
Now we've talked about two of the literal largest robberies, and Fredericka Marm Mandelbaum got her cut from both of them, but she continued to remain untouched by the long arm of the law. So in addition to her payouts from heists like this, Fredericka, she was still fencing. She was known as the queen of fences, right? She was still receiving stolen goods and turning them for a profit. And it is said that she had as much as $10 million worth of stolen luxury goods. So we're talking gold, diamonds, silk. Apparently she really liked silk, lace, cashmere, jewels, all fenced through that modest little haberdashery shop on the Lower East Side.
Yeah.
So in today's money, do you know how much 10 million is?
You're saying 10 million
Like
back then, how much would it be
10 million,
today?
yeah.
I think, did I remember you saying something like 2.7 was like 80 million? So I don't know, 3 billion?
I've already like messed up all my numbers, so I don't even
Oh,
fucking
okay.
know what I said.
So no, I have no idea.
So it's like something like $380 million. Damn. Yeah. So this, like at this point, she's like, 56-year-old woman who started out as an immigrant, literally selling on the streets scraps of silk and broken watches, is now pushing out 400 million.
Wow.
Okay? But eventually,
It all comes crumbling down.
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Tell me about her downfall. I am eager
Let's
to
hear
it.
about her downfall. I don't know if you're going to be happy or sad about her downfall, quite honestly.
I feel like I'm going to be happy. I don't want her scheming all these other people.
So, in 1884, a new district attorney, Peter B. Olney, went after Marm. He deployed the Pinkertons, which, we know is a private detective force, which was probably smart because the NYPD, we know, had probably been on her payroll for decades, right?
Oh, absolutely.
She knew
There's
how
not
to
a
bribe the right
chance
people.
they were not. Yeah.
They're not gonna not pad their own pockets. So the Pinkertons, they launched kind of like a sting undercover investigation. And this guy, Gustav Frank, he actually pretended to be a man named Stein. And he took advantage of the fact that Fredericka Mandelbaum, she had, first of all, she was very generous towards other thieves. That's where she had her, humble beginnings. And particularly those who had a German Jewish background. So that's what he did. And basically, he wiggled his way into her inner circle, okay? And what he did is he eventually purchased marked silk from her. So they were able to mark silk to the naked eye, no one could see it. And then they, stole it, and then he purchased the stolen goods from her.
Okay.
So after over 2 decades of successfully evading the authorities, Fredericka, along with her son Julius and one of her right-hand man who she had been with her for years, were arrested in July of 1884. Her bail was set at $10K, which is, for her, chump change, right? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's nothing to her.
She made that in the morning. Like,
yeah.
That's what?
She probably literally had that in her pocket.
Seriously.
But I mean, she's not getting charged with murder. She's not getting charged with like kidnapping. She's not getting charged with anything violent. She's getting charged with, like selling a stolen good here. She very quickly posted her bail, and she had some very good lawyers, and they were able to work their lawyer magic, and they got, her hearings postponed. And at this point, she's like pushing 60. She'd never really issued public statements in the past, but she's like, I would never. We're innocent. No. Rachel's face.
Yeah, my face is, I would never, but you did.
That is the clip. That is the clip we use. I would never. But she's out on bail. She's at home. The Pinkertons, they set up 24/7 surveillance at her. She's still at the same place that she's been since 1865. She's got her haberdashery shop on the bottom, and then her apartment's on the upper level. They set up 24/7 surveillance at her place, and they want to make sure, like, she's not gonna flee. And when her trial date starts, it's so funny. There's this one article where they talk about, they're in the courtroom, and they announce, like, Fredericka Mandelbaum, like, show up, and her lawyer looks around like, where is she? I don't know. Where was Mother Mandelbaum? Well,
back in Germany?
No.
Oh.
The 59-year-old was in Canada.
Oh.
Sources say that she had outsmarted the Pinkertons using a body double.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was in Canada, and at the time, there was no extradition between Canada and the U.S. for the crimes that she had committed. Because, like I said, like, this was like stolen goods crimes. Like, if it had been murder or something violent or more serious, they probably could have extradited. But this was not an extraditable
just crazy because it's
crime.
not like it's crazier to me because it's not like she just robbed like the mall or a Walmart or something like that. This is millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Right. But they're not getting her on the heist, right?
Okay.
All they got her on was a few yards of silk.
Right. But they know.
Well, everyone knows.
Right.
You can't prove it. It doesn't matter what you know. It matters what you can prove. Okay.
True.
Okay.
True.
Here we go. That was in 1884. In 1885, her daughter Annie, who was still back in New York, actually ended up dying of pneumonia. And Mother Mandelbaum actually risked getting caught. And she snuck back into the U.S. and attended the wake, which was at her old shop/home, using a disguise and a hidden entrance that the thieves used to use to get in and out, but was not going to miss saying goodbye to her daughter. So she attended the wake and then snuck back to Canada. And Fredericka ended up living out the remaining years, which happened to be only about like 9-10 more years in Canada. And then she ended up passing away in Canada, and her body was then eventually returned back to New York, where she was buried with her family, and she was 68 years old.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
That is insane. Like, there's portions of this story where I think the word incredible come to mind, and I don't like to glorify or, be like, that's awesome what you did, because it's wrong, but it's also incredible in a way that you can get away with all of this over so long, still to this day, and this is something that happened in the 1800s, still be the largest heist of all time type stuff, and live your life
Right.
freely,
Right.
on the run at the end of it. Holy hell.
What's crazy to me, we have heard about the Bugsy guy or like Babyface, Gotti, the mob, or like the Gambinos, or all of these more mafia, crime family, crime syndicates. Now, granted, their criminal enterprises were a lot more than just fencing and robbing. A lot of these crime syndicates included sex work and murder for hire, and gambling, and definitely more violent stuff. Now, do I think that Mother Mandelbaum probably dabbled in some more violent shit? She probably had to get some people beat up every once in a while. You do this for however many decades, and that's definitely a possibility. But I think it's kind of crazy to me, right? Why do we not know her name? Like, this is
that
insane.
is an insane part. I feel like this would be a bigger known name, and in conversations, all the time, like other people that you named.
Right? And so it's absolutely mind-boggling to me. So I don't even remember how I ran across it. I think I was just like Googling lesser known, because I didn't want to do a murder or anything violent this week. I think we've been working really hard on our projects that we've been working on, and I felt I needed to take from a
page from our old book.
Yeah. And I just needed, I hate saying lighthearted, because this is definitely crime, but
Yeah, but it's definitely way more lighthearted than
we've been working on some heavier stuff. So I was like, let me and whenever we do stuff from like 1800s, 1700s, I think it's just a little, it's a little less heavy. And so I was Googling stuff, and this lady popped up. I'm like, why have I never heard of this? Like, this would have stuck out in my head. And so the more I start reading about her, and then I get to like these heists that she funded, and I'm like, because I've heard of George Leslie, but I'm like, what? He wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for this lady. She put him on the map.
That is crazy.
I was like, I need to bring this to Rachel. Like, I need Rachel
thank you that you did.
to hear.
And to everyone else. That is, now I want to look into her more. Did you, like, during your research, did you find, like, books or documentaries or movies or, like, anything that are based on her?
Someone did write a book about her. Let me look in my sources.
How is this not, like, a film that everyone knows who she is because of a film? Because this is exactly,
interestingly, back in the 1900s, I read one of the articles that said after her death, back in the 1900s, they made a movie. I say 1900s. It's so funny. Early 1900s, I should say. Oh, my God. We were born in the 1900s, ago. Rachel.
Yeah.
Ew. I just had like a moment. Holy crap. They made a movie, and it was New York City, early 1800 or early 1900s kind of time. And they said like, oh, enter this character. She's a Marm Mandelbaum type. So I think back then it was definitely more of a person. But
Gotcha.
So there is a book by Margalit called The Talented Mrs. Mandelbaum, The Rise and Fall of an American Organized Crime Boss.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But I've actually found a lot of really cool Smithsonian magazine and museum of the city of New York. So I think on the East Coast, there's a lot more about her, just like in the history. Because what I also did at one point was I went on Google and I Googled where her shop was, because the location, I don't know if it's still the same building, but the location is still there on the Lower East Side, and I'm like, that's so interesting. So like you can literally
her building
just
for
go
all
there
those
to New
years.
York and be like, this is where Mother Mandelbaum was.
There should be a plaque.
There should be a plaque. This is a historical like historical figure. If we ever go to New York,
Wow. When we are gonna go to New
when
York,
we go to New
we're
York,
gonna sell out Times Square someday.
we will go. And you know how when we went to Nashville, we did that ghost tour that actually we had him kind of turn into a crime ghost tour.
Right.
We will do that.
Yes.
We'll say, bring us to Marm Mandelbaum's place.
That's crazy. What if they're like, we don't know who that is? You don't belong here.
I will literally bring up our podcast and say, listen to episode, whatever episode this is.
We will never know, you guys.
You guys tell us.
I'm not counting. I'm not give up on counting. Yeah, this is episode
season 4.
We know that
as good as we get.
Are we in season 4?
Yes.
It's crazy. Who do we think we are? Heather, that's crazy. What an insane story. It is, you know, to kind of like bring it back to what you were doing in the beginning and you were naming all these people. I feel like we find this character, not just speaking of her, but this character type so fascinating because it just blows your mind on like how someone can do this and orchestrate it all and get away with it for so long. And the names that you bring up in these shows, Gemma Teller, you know, they're beloved in a way of like they're the heart and soul of this family and of this crime mob, whatever they've created, and they are the matriarch of the whole thing.
Yes.
And without them, everything would fall apart.
100%.
And so it is crazy because I do know those characters, and I find myself watching them thinking like, damn, that's nuts, you know?
Yeah.
And then knowing that, you know, it happens in real life is like, what?
It is crazy because and I think the biggest thing is you think about like where she started. Literally, I'm here, I'm on the streets, I am doing whatever I can to provide for my 4 young children.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't get a job. No one around me can get a job. The country is in a financial crisis. We do what we do to put food on the table to survive. You know what I know I'm good at? I can get these kids to go pickpocket because they're better at it. And then what am I good at? I can take what they have and I can sell it at a better price. No one's going to want to buy something from the 6-year-old, but I can speak good English and I can get them to buy it from me. So we're going to band together and we're both it's going to be a win-win situation. And, you know, you start like that. And then before you know it, I mean, I don't think she ever thought like one day I'm going to be worth, you know, in her time, you know, $10 million.
Woof.
And I'm going to be running this, you know, super crazy criminal enterprise and I'm going to back the largest heist in history. No, I don't think when she first starts out pickpocketing, she thinks this is, you know, that's what's going to be my life one day. You build to that over the years, right? I think you would think that when she first rented that storefront, she was like, okay, this is great. Now I can really put food on the table for my kids. And then it just builds over the years. And before you know it, you're looking back going, holy crap. But that's what's so scary.
Right.
Right? That's how you just got to be careful. And because before you know it, you're sucked in and there's no going back. You can't just stop. Right.
Nope.
And that's what's, I think we've covered people before, you know, moms on the other side where you got sucked in to this and you there was plenty points where you could have stopped and you didn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, now it's too far. It's too little too late and there's no going back.
Too far gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
So.
Sheesh, Marm. Sheesh, Marm. Sheesh, Marm. Wow. Heather, great job. I do appreciate when you bring these cases. They're interesting. they kind of captivate you and take you on a whole different ride, which is nice. You know, still mom related. Love that. Mother Marm. But not gonna bring you down, you know?
Yeah.
It's not. And also, I mean, we talk about these cases because we want to see resolution. We want to raise awareness. We want to do those things. And in this one, that's not in any way, shape, or form, you know, the backing of this.
Right.
And so when I say bring you down, it's just, you know, it is heavy. It is hard to hear certain things, but important. And that's why we do them. So it's nice to sprinkle a little bit of this in. And I love it. Love it. Crazy. Crazy. All right. I loved that. Thank you very much for that. Anything else before we go?
No, I just want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful listeners.
Yes, we love them.
Hope you guys enjoyed this little fun history lesson.
Yes.
And we'll be back next week with some more fun stuff. Or
not.
Or not.
Not if it's my week. You don't get fun from me, you guys. Unless it's an ABC of crime or something, but not on a regular week.
I was thinking of doing something like that this week. I was like, ooh, I should be cool like Rachel and just come up with an ABC.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Maybe I'll bring something sooner or later in that realm.
Do it.
All right, you guys. Velociraptor. Unfortunately, I do love these Velociraptors. I love that you added that in there. That was amazing. We're great. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. If you're still here, you are the greatest human that has ever existed on this planet. And we hope that you guys
have an amazing week.
Execute your day in a boss way.
Stolen goods.
Yes.
And don't rob banks.
No, don't.
And don't have affairs.
Absolutely not. Don't be a hoe.
And you know what? We understand in times of financial hardship, it can be hard.
Yeah.
But try not to pickpocket people or shoplift or loot.
Please.
But at the
there's
same
resources
time,
out there. You got to feed your babies.
You got to feed your babies.
So figure it out.
You know, try to just find the right resources. But at the end of the day, you got to feed your babies. So I get it. But like, try to go the right route.
Yeah. Try. Let's all be triers.
Yeah,
you guys all want to be triers with me?
Let's try our best.
All right.
That's all we say.
We're going to be triers around here. A whole bunch of triers. All right, we are done here. We will talk to you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Trier. Yeah. Don't. If you happen to take your children under your wings, do not create a criminal ring.
Please, if you're gonna do the pickpocketing, you do it. Don't teach your children to pickpocket.
Do not teach your children to pickpocket
or shoplift.
They're least likely to be looked at, though. So it's like, you know,
it's also like a really smart strategy.
It's not,
but don't
it's not.
Do it.
Hate it,
but also
no, only hate it.
Hate it.
I'm just kidding. It is crazy. That is crazy shit. I'm still recording. Okay.